As with subroutines, use local classes or interfaces only within the program in which they are defined and implemented. The class statement is a local, declarative statement in the program. As the types statement defines local data types, the class statement defines local object types.
As with other repository objects, the separate navigation area of the Object Navigator makes it the ideal development tool for all repository objects. The easiest way to create a new global class is to use the context menu in the navigation area. To do so, first select the package node or select the class node within a package. A dialog box appears that offers you some choices for the new class. Select Usual ABAP class. The global class or global interface is then displayed in the Class Builder table in the Editor area of the Object Navigator.
Choose the Attributes tab page to open a list of all attribute definitions in the class. You can also define new attributes here. You can use the input help when defining the types of attributes. Remember to use meaningful short descriptions.
Choose the Methods tab page to open a list of all method definitions in the class. You can define new methods here. Remember to use meaningful short descriptions. There are separate editor windows for the method parameters, that is also known as method signature, and the implementation. Choose the Constructor push button to define an instance constructor. The system automatically chooses the name of the constructor. Hint: methods can be transported separately because each implementation is stored in an own ABAP include. In the method list, select a method and choose the Parameter push button to go to the signature maintenance. You can define new formal parameters here. You can use the input help when defining the type of the parameters. Remember to use meaningful short descriptions. You can browse between the signatures with the help of the previous method or Next Methods push button. Choose the Methods push button to return to the method list.
In the method list, select a method by double-clicking it. Alternatively, choose the Source Code push button to go to the source text maintenance if a method is already selected. You can implement the methods here. Hint: choose the relevant push button to display the method's signature.
Choose Go to Method Definition to change the attributes of your method during implementation. Optionally, you can define an event handler method on the Attributes tab page in the dialog box.
You can define attributes, methods, or events in the context menu of the Object Navigator's navigation area. The properties are then maintained in a dialog box and not in the table. Hint: choose Class, Print or Method, Print to print selected portions of the source text.
You can test active global classes by choosing menu path Class, Run. In Test Environment, click the corresponding toolbar button or press F8. Static attributes and static methods are directly accessible in the test environment. Instance attributes and instance methods are accessible after instance creation only. You can create an instance using the Create Instance push button. The system only lists the public components. Methods can be tested using the Execute Method icon. Following are the steps to trigger events in a class. Select an event. Choose Handler to register a standard method for the event. Call a method in which the event trigger was implemented. The event that was triggered and all of the exported actual parameters are displayed in a list.
Like other repository objects, global classes and interfaces are added in the navigation area of the Object Navigator. This way, the discussed advantages also apply to global classes and interfaces.
In the navigation area, select a class name and drag it to the editing area by holding down the left mouse push button. This action creates a Create Object statement. Then, add the reference variable and the actual parameters, if applicable, to the statement. Alternatively, you can also choose the Pattern push button. You can find the Create Object statement by selecting ABAP Objects Patterns. You can generate the statement using the Input Help. In the navigation area, select a method name and drag it to the editing area by holding down the left mouse push button. This action creates a Create Method statement. Then, add the reference variable and the actual parameters, if applicable, to the statement. Alternatively, you can also choose the Pattern push button. The call method statement is under ABAP Objects Pattern. You can generate the statement using the Input Help. Note, to generate patterns, you can, as of SAP NetWeaver 7.0, enable the modern functional writing style for method calls. Choose Utilities, Settings, Pattern, and select the functional writing style for Call Method checkbox.
You create global interfaces like you create global classes. Use the right mouse click in the Object Navigator. The naming convention is IF underscore for SAP interfaces and ZIF underscore or YIF underscore for user-defined interfaces. To include a global interface in your global class, enter the name of the interface on the Interfaces tab page. All of the interface components automatically appear on the relevant tab pages according to the naming convention and the interface resolution operator. In the example, the global interface ZIF underscore 00 underscore partner containing the method display underscore partner is incorporated. Double-click the method name to implement the method.
The following procedure is an easy way to make global copies of local classes and local interfaces. Hint: the copy local classes to global classes function cannot be used from within Object Navigator, importing a local program class. The steps to import local classes and interfaces are as follows. On the SAP Easy Access screen, choose Tools, ABAP Workbench, Development, Class Builder, or Call Transaction SE24. On the Class Builder initial screen, choose Object Type, Import, Local Classes in Program. In the Import from Program dialog box, enter the name of the main program, and if the local classes and interfaces are defined within Include Programs, select Expand Include checkbox. Choose the Display Classes/Interfaces push button. Enter names for global classes and interfaces that you want to create. Remember the customer namespace if applicable. Choose the global classes and interfaces that you want to create and choose the Import Push button.
As of SAP NetWeaver 7.0 Enhancement Package 2, EHP2, the class builder can generate UML diagrams for existing coding. This function is restricted to global classes and does not apply to local classes. However, the diagrams can include objects from ABAP dictionary. The figure shows how to start the functionality for a complete package. On a pop-up window, you can add a selection of objects and specify which details you want to see on the diagram. Set up the inheritance relationships between global classes on the Properties tab page. Choose the Superclass push button to specify a superclass. In the example shown in the figure, the subclass ZCL_cargo_plane_00 inherits from superclass ZCL_airplane_00.
To redefine an inherited method, select the relevant method in the list and choose the Redefine Push button. Alternatively, you can use the context menu in the navigation area. The appearance of some of the icons or menus depends on the release level. The icon for redefining methods is one example. Hint: to define the constructor in the subclass, choose the Constructor push button in the application toolbar. The system then proposes transferring the signature of the superclass constructor. This is helpful when you want to create the subclass constructor. You can add some parameters here. Similarly, you can find the call for the superclass here.
You can define local types and global classes. Global classes include local classes. Technically, you are not defining a class within a class, but a class that is local in the repository object of the global class. All components of the global class have access to these local types, but they are encapsulated if you try to access them from outside. The same applies for local interfaces in global classes. To edit the implementation parts of these local classes, choose the IMPL push button.
To improve your understanding of inheritance and interface components, you can set the Group by Classes and Interfaces flag in the user-specific settings for the class builder. The system will then display the components of the global class in a group. You can sort all components by 5 criteria in 3 levels. Choose the Sort push button to display the appropriate dialog box.
Classes, interfaces, and the associations between them are manifested by your ABAP implementation. You can adapt and extend your ABAP implementation to meet new business requirements. Such adaptations are commonly called refactoring. The SAP Refactoring Assistant helps you to easily adapt the hierarchy and associations of classes and interfaces. For example, you can use the Refactoring Assistant to move the components of a class within the inheritance hierarchy. For a complete list of the features in this tool, refer to the SAP library. Working with the tool is simple because it is based on drag and drop dialogues. The Tool Info push button opens the SAP library article about the Refactoring Assistant. There you can also find the descriptions about other abilities of the tool. Generally, the Refactoring Assistant does not adjust the implementation of methods. After using the Refactoring Assistant, you must check and adjust the method implementations manually.